Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the Crunkest Show in social media history. I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone. I got my co-host in the building, my man Donovan Sadiq. I got the queen, Demetra K. And Black Girl Magic is upon us tonight. You say you don't have no options in this election. I say you got a whole bunch of them. The second African American to be nominated for the vice presidency of the United States of America. Angela Walker is in the building. Kamala who? Let's talk about it. Say, man, I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone. And as I normally say, every night I want to wish you a happy Hanukkah, whatever that means. You know, it's been an eventful weekend for me. I went gun training with my Panther brothers out of St. Louis and Minnesota, and I can tell you, man, they cold with it, man. So I don't think they even worried about a race war. I can't see how they are because these boys got some artillery that I know the army ain't even got. But it's all legal. It's all legal, man, and they are on their game. In the news, I mean, you saw what happened in Kenosha. You saw what happened in Lafayette, Louisiana. I used to live in Lafayette, and a lot of good people down there reached out to me, and they say the community wants me to come and try to help them. And I told them, I say, well, man, I'm on the road Friday, rain, sleet, or snow. You know, I'm coming to change the forecast and see if we can get some justice down there in Lafayette, Louisiana. And if it requires me to go to Kenosha when I finish there, I don't have a problem doing that either. But I'll turn it over to Demetra, who at this time will get it crunk up.
So hello, everybody. Welcome to Monday night's edition of the War Zone. And if you haven't already, please share this so everybody can get the information to know that we do have other options as far as our voting goes and the election and everything like that. But as you guys can see, we are sitting here with Angela Walker, Vice President Nominee of the Green Party. And we're going to have a very eventful conversation here for the next hour. We're going to learn as much as we can with Angela Walker and Howie Hawkins of the Green Party, because a lot of people they don't know anything about the Green Party at all. And so we'll go ahead and get right into it. So I'll actually want to start with tying in what Gary said about the Black Panthers. So Angela, I heard that you are a Fred Hampton, Assata Shakur candidate. Can you describe to the people what that actually means?
First off, let me thank y'all for having me. I am honored to be here. It is an honor and a pleasure to meet all of you. And I want to, because I am a native of Wisconsin, I'm originally from Milwaukee. My people are still in Milwaukee. You know, I got ties to Kenosha, and just letting my folks up there know, y'all stay safe, y'all take care of each other, you handle your business. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Yes, when I'm talking, a lot of what happens when you say that you're a socialist, which I am, people get their backs up because we've been red baited in this country so long that the minute you hear socialist or communist, people go, ah! And it's like, nah, baby, calm down. When you're talking about all of the good things that came from the Black Panthers and the things that they're still doing, the things that they stood for, those things are socialist. And so to make it easier for people to, you know, a lot of people are very good with theory. But one of the beautiful things about the Panthers is that they always were able to balance theory with practice and put things in a way that people understood, and also, you know, in action, you know, let people see how socialism works. You feed people. You make sure that people have free medical. You make sure that people have stable housing, things like that. So that's why I define myself that way. It makes it a little bit easier for people to go, oh, okay, then you're not so bad.
So how do people usually receive that when they hear you describe yourself in that manner? Because, you know, to a lot of people who are uneducated, they still think the Black Panthers is, a horrible entity. They think they are anti-white and, things like that. And so how are people receptive overall of your description of your type of candidacy?
You talk to them about issues and, where people may not, go in with theory, they may not, they can't feel that. But when you start talking about the policies of the Panthers and the policies, that socialists support, then they go, oh, that's what that is. And it's like, yeah, baby, you've been benefiting. Every time you go to a public library or a public park, you're enjoying socialism. Every time you visit your co-op or put something in your credit union, which I'm a member of, that's socialism. And when you break it down by issues, people are a whole lot less afraid.
Well, I tell you, thank you for agreeing to come on. And me and you were talking earlier. And do you realistically, because this is one of the issues that people seem to have, do you realistically think that the run of you and Howie Hawkins is going to take votes away from the Democratic nominees, which are Biden and Harris?
Of course not. You need to be able to vote third or fourth party, find a party that you can, that truly represents you as closely as possible and be able to support that rather than big Coke and big Pepsi. A whole lot of people don't like to taste either one. And so a lot of what other people also have to understand is in 2016, and don't quote me because I don't have the exact percentage in front of me, but in 2016, was it 30% of the population who was eligible to vote chose not to? So, when we're talking about, spoiling an election, we're not taking votes away from anybody. The people who support us are people who would stay home if we were not on the ballot. And Democrats have always made this assumption that we're pulling people away from them. And it's like, sugar, they weren't going to support you anyway. They weren't showing up for you, and I'm talking about people in my own family. I'm talking about myself. If these were the only two choices I had, I wouldn't bother. And my issue with the Democrats has always been, if you want people to show up, rather than vote shaming them, rather than chastising them because you didn't get something you wanted, give them people they can actually vote for without having to hold their noses and swallow Pepto-Bismol. I mean, come on, it's not rocket science. Give people somebody to vote for, stand on the issues that they are asking you for, because they're pretty loud this year. It's kind of hard not to hear defund the police, Medicare for all, and Green New Deal, and also guaranteed income above poverty during this doggone pandemic. It's not hard to hear that. But all y'all want to act like you ain't heard it. Well, you can't be mad when people don't show up for you. It is what it is.
Well, let me ask you this, and then I'll pass it to Donovan. Issues. You brought up some great issues that people need to look at. One of the biggest issues that has not been brought up by the Democratic side, and as well as I don't hear Republicans talking about it. Reparations. Where does the Green Party stand on the issue of reparations?
Reparations are on the ballot, darlings. And not just for our campaign, but also as a part of our party platform. It is built into it. The Green Party has always understood that the harm that has been caused, and I'm a member, I joined in Cobra this year, a group that is internationally known that works on nothing but reparations. And, to listen, I was at their convention they had about a month ago. And one of the things that they discussed, because so many people are very quick to say, well, I didn't own slaves, or, I didn't have a hand in that. We're going to have to be honest, folks. This country exists. The economy of this country was literally built on the backs of enslaved Africans. Own it. Own it. It is not going to hurt you to admit that this is what happened. It did. And the harm perpetuated on our people through the Ma'afa, which is the Black Holocaust, is so wide-reaching that it changed our DNA. How do you repay that? Especially in light of the fact and thinking of what's happening in Kenosha right now, that this harm has never stopped, that our lives in this country as Black people mean nothing. So no, reparations are due, darlings. And for us, that is the passage of HR 40, which is a study to examine the effects of enslavement and subsequent discrimination on living Black folks. And also, while you are doing that, for us in the Green Party and us in this campaign, the key piece to reparations is community control and Black self-determination. So, making sure that we in our communities own those entities that are in our communities, that we in our communities have a direct say in how things are governed in our communities. So, yes, reparations are on the ballot for us.
Donovan?
Yes. I mean, I love it. I mean, when I got turned on to the only reason I'm going Green Party this year is the fact that people keep telling me that if I don't vote, then Trump is going to, scare us to death and it's the end of the world. So my vote is very valuable. And I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and vote this party. So
let me say this and then you can go back. My good friend who doesn't like a lot of politicians, one of the greatest rappers alive, Brad Jordan, Mr. Scarface, says that he likes you a lot. He's in the comments.
yes.
So
what?
Yeah, Mr. Scarface. He's in the comment. You.
Holy crap. Oh my God. That's wild.
But my question is this. The Democratic nominee said that on day one, he is going to do DACA, Dreamers, and LGBTQ agenda, whatever. He said he's going to do that day one. Two of the three groups I just named can't even vote for him, but he's going to do that for them. So hypothetically, you and your partner get into office. What are some of the things that you're going to do day one?
One of the first things, and it takes Howie because he's like, as the president, he has like a whole plan. But one of the first things that we are intending to do is do what we, implement the first stages of Medicare for all, because right now we have a pandemic. We have a problem here. And part of our package around COVID is making sure that people are supported financially. So $2,000 a month for every adult, $500 a month for every child during the pandemic. And of course, going forward, a guaranteed income above poverty for everyone. But making sure that people are supported and able to shelter in place while we do what we can to get this curve down. Implement a national program of test, trace, and isolate so that we can, monitor where these hotspots are. I'm in South Carolina, and the infection rates here in South Carolina are it's exponential. It you used to see it trickle in maybe 100 cases a day. With summer and with the fact that, you can't tell folks what to do, they're going to do what they want to do. And people have been, going to Myrtle Beach, 900 a day, 1,000 a day. It's frightening. And so making sure that we have a test, trace, and isolate program in place. Also, because we're both internationalists and we're both diasporists. And first you free the political prisoners being held in this country, free them all. And also because I don't want to live in a country with concentration camps in the detention of migrants, and treat them properly. Reunify families where it's possible, and give them treatment, because it's just, there's no justice in this. There's no honor in holding people. Migration is a human right. And I know people feel some type of way about that. And, I understand that. But, in those camps, and also, start getting, one of the things that we have is we support community control of the police. It's in our ballot, or it's in our platform. and demanding an end to, police unions being able to shield officers. Every officer that murders someone should be arrested for it. They should pay for that. I mean, that's without question. And we also understand that the killings and the way that Black people are treated in this country will not change until the system is changed. Anything else is a topical reform. So for people that, the discussion we had at the top of the show about socialists, yeah, we're here to overturn capitalism. Ain't no nice way to say it.
So the Green Party is actually dubbed as the working people party, right? That's kind of like a subcontext there. Why do you think people have a hard time embracing the ideology for the working people? Like, we tend to think we have to go for one or the other, the Democrats or the Republicans, which have proven they've not been for the people at all. But you're talking about, socialism, which helps everybody, and being for the working people, which, the working people are suffering tremendously now. So in your opinion, why do you think people have such a hard time gravitating to the Green Party?
I think that, the first thing for me, like I was saying at the top of the show to Gary before we got started, I'm a dump truck driver. I work every day. Today, my day started at 5:30 a.m. I did not get off until 6:30 p.m. So when we are talking about working class and being, things that affect the working class, I am the working class. Howie is a retired Teamster. We know what it is to be without health insurance. We know what it means to be with, living check to check, which would be me right now. You get a little savings in the bank, but you know how that goes. You got family, you got people who need, how it is in our community. So, I think traditionally what people have thought of when you say the Green Party before they think about working people, they think of hippies and they think of old white hippies. And they go, yeah. And I think that what people need to understand about the Green Party is that these policies that this party embraces and that this party, puts out are intended and, created with the working class and poor folks in mind. And also, we're the only party that is connecting capitalist exploitation of human beings and the commodification of human beings, which is nothing more than this system of mass incarceration, the new Jim Crow, you are commodifying human beings. It never changed for us. And connecting that to the exploitation and the commodification of Mother Earth herself. And so there is a linkage that when you disrespect, our planet and you treat her like she's a commodity and her natural resources are infinite and you can just treat it any kind of way you want to, it follows that you do this to people that you don't deem people. And so one of the reasons that we have, as a party, embraced the descriptors eco-socialist is because we make that connection. That, the exploitation of the earth is connected to the exploitation of human beings and non-human life, and we need to stop it. This is not sustainable. We are on a not so slow march to extinction, and it's not an acceptable place to be.
What are your thoughts about shutting down the economy due to the COVID? Because, a lot of people, are saying we have the right to an economy and get out there and work and things like that. Now, would the Green Party have shut down the economy due to the pandemic?
Yes, for the simple fact that, when you hear people being resentful about shutting down the economy, they're not really being resentful about shutting down the economy. They're nervous about being able to make their financial obligations. But because we, in this country tend to paint things with a broad brush, you're like, yeah, you shut it down. But no, you're upset because you are stressed to begin with about the fact that this thing is happening, and you're also not bringing in any income if you are unable to work. And so what needed to have happened in that place, and what we saw in other countries, this isn't something that's aspirational. This is something other countries did. and are still doing. First off, you make sure that your people are able to shelter in place. So people need housing for all, which is one of our policies, and making sure that folks are able to shelter in place. Second of all, you need to make sure that they are receiving some sort of financial income, some way to keep their families afloat. Also, the government is stepping in and paying landlords and small businesses to keep afloat, so you don't have the economic collapse that happens when they are unable to make, because their tenants, which we're seeing, because their tenants, a lot of whom are out of work, are unable to pay them, then they've already had their, financial obligations met. So they're not leaning on their tenants, and they're not, we don't have a collapse happening there. And so, the supports, the infrastructure, and of course there would, under our administration, there would have been Medicare for all. So you don't have people, not having access to the health care that they need. And also, one thing we would have done is invoke the Defense Protection Act, which they did in World War II, and turn industries in this industries in this country and get them putting out PPE. So you don't have nurses wearing trash bags and whatever they can cobble together to take care of people. The way that this pandemic was handled in this country was not only criminal, it's embarrassing when you look at smaller countries who did this very successfully.
Let me jump right here because I've gotten this like twice in the last week. A lot of people are refusing to vote the Democratic ticket because they feel that America has been embarrassed. This is what I got. They feel like we are the laughing stock of the whole world, not just the pandemic, but the way everything is ran, the way our governmental system is operated. What do you have to say about that?
I have a few things to say about that. I think that we are at a point in our history as a country where we are finally questioning this concept of American exceptionalism itself, and the fact that we have not been good world citizens. We have not been diplomatic in the way that we work with other countries. The fact that you've got, 9 shadow wars happening in primarily Black and brown countries, when you look at our history as a country of destabilizing democratic elections in other countries, we have not been good citizens at all. We have not been good world citizens. And so I would argue, for people, or gently push back to people that say that we are now a laughing stock. Baby, they've never trusted us. We've never been trustworthy. We're that spoiled kid that, you got something under your soil. Rather than be diplomatic and talk about cooperation, we come and take it because we got the bigger toys and we can blast you into oblivion. I don't want to be known for that. And so, a friend of mine, a very dear friend of mine who recently joined the Ancestors, Mimi Soltysik, I was his running mate in 2016. He asked a question one day that said, when you see the American flag, what do you feel? And all I could say was anxiety, because people around the world do not see us as a liberator. They see us as an oppressor. And I think that predates the individual currently occupying the White House. Now, that said, he certainly did not help anything. And his handling of this pandemic is embarrassing, especially when you had templates around the world in much smaller nations that handled this much more effectively. So, I would argue or gently push back, we have a lot of dues to pay within these borders and also outside of them.
This question is one that's near and dear to me. Education, as we've seen with the pandemic, we figured out that we are so far behind that it's unreal. That it is totally unreal. What would you and Mr. Hawkins propose to decrease the gap in the educational environment between everybody else and African American and Latino children? Because they're not giving them the same education. Because I feel that school choice and magnets were designed to do exactly what they're doing right now. So how would you guys attack that issue?
I am super glad to hear you say that. One of the last things I did as, I worked for a nonprofit before I left Milwaukee. I've been a driver for almost 20 years, and I cheat on it every now and again and go do something else, and then I come right back to it. So was education, fighting privatization of education. I am a huge advocate of public schools. And I believe, absolutely, I am a product of public schools. That said, I also know that it is time for us as communities to revisit what we understand education to be and to have those discussions again. What does it mean to educate young people? Standardized testing, when you're asking our young people, they're being taught to a test, and this test is supposed to assess what they know, and then you decide our kids are behind because they can't, or they don't answer this test satisfactorily. That's bull. It's garbage. These tests were not intended for our young people to succeed. And so one of the things that we are against is, using standardized testing to determine how children learn or determine where they are, ranking them as far as you're behind or you're ahead or things like that, because these tests have been proven to be biased. We also believe that, and I'm a huge, well, we both are, but a huge fan of the community schools model, which means that the school in your neighborhood needs to be the hub of that neighborhood. And it needs to look like that neighborhood. It needs to serve the needs of the people in that neighborhood. So if you are in an area that is not really good about having fresh food available, that should be offered at school. And folks come into the school that can make those programs happen. There's grocery stores that have mobile pop-up things, and this was happening in Milwaukee before I left. So I mean, we were pushing for our community schools, but also those young people and families and caregivers in that community, when they walk through those doors, they should see themselves. They should see themselves reflected in the curricula. And if that means that we revamp how, who is making curricula, who is having a hand in textbooks and things like that, then it's time to do all that. Because our young people should not have to search to find themselves in the educational system. They should feel welcome. They should feel supported. They should be able to speak their languages. And that includes those of us who are also bilingual, because we speak Black, vernacular English. We know how to code switch, and to not be downed for that. So, I mean, I think that we are just in a point in the country where it's time to reimagine public education, but it will never, ever be time to privatize it. And I will fight that to the end of my life.
I'm gonna tell you something. I've been an education advocate for 8 years, and I want to cry because I've never heard a politician say what you just said. I got teachers on here going, wow, they loving what you're talking about. So I'm gonna ask a question. I got like 4 or 5 different streams going. And how do you feel about an increase? Get rid of these tests. Take the money that we spend it on the tests, and let's increase teacher salary. How do you feel?
Education is holy. Teachers are holy. Teachers do holy work. And I, as a child who grew up in Milwaukee, went to Milwaukee public schools, tested gifted for years. My brother and I both, and now my oldest grandson does. Having teachers mentor me at, my home situation was not the best. And to have a teacher and have teachers that went above and beyond the way that some of the teachers that I had did, you can't put a price on that. And when people turn around and demonize teachers, I still rock with the teachers union where I'm from. These are family to me. They always will be. So to say that, to ask that teachers be paid at least some, trying to reach towards what they're worth, because I mean, you really can't put a price on it, but to raise their pay and to respect the dignity of their profession, that is a no-brainer.
One great question I have is, Donald Trump is not going to be in office forever. So let's hypothetically say the election's over, you guys just ramrod the Democrats and the Republicans in the major upset. And it could happen. It's America. It could happen.
It's 2020.
2020, exactly. People are pissed, So now remember what happened with Richard Nixon, and he gets impeached and he goes through this. The biggest mistake they say Gerald Ford did was to give him a pass and let him go. You guys are in office. You've been there a week. The party's over. You got, the celebration's over. Now it's time to get to work. With a lot of the corruption that's going on in the current administration, you're the next administration. What would you do in regards to addressing the corruption and the rebuilding of the Injustice Department and all that other stuff?
Well, first off, this individual currently occupying the White House wants to be president for life because he's looking at prison time. So let him go and let all of them other, we've been watching for the last, 4 years, people around him falling like dominoes. Like this thing with Steve Bannon, being one of the most recent things, they're falling. And so, let justice, in this case, there's actual justice, let it take its course. And also, I think that, just like with education, we really have got to revamp what we call justice in this country, because it is so inherently biased against people of color, against poor people, against people who are not wealthy white males, which is who the Constitution was written in mind for. So I think that it's time for us to revisit the institutions that, hold up this country, I suppose, because the things that are happening, the violence, that the state wreaks on communities of color is so embedded in the system of this country that we have to change the system. And I think that going in and re-examining all of those things is absolutely necessary. Is it going to make us popular? Not hardly. I have my concerns with, the fact that they disappearing folks and things like that. Those are things don't think is pie in the sky around here. I'm not stupid. This is basically a big old target on our backs, but it is what it is. I mean, somebody has to tell the truth. So, it's time to reconsider and go into these institutions and change them systemically.
So, as we all can see, I mean, even as of yesterday, Black people are being murdered wholesale or targeted even by the police. So once elected as the Green Party, what would you do on a federal level to intervene in a lot of these cases where we see on a local level, they're saying, well, we got to investigate. Let's see what's going on. And, like Breonna Taylor's case, they're still investigating. I mean, this is months and months and months ago. I mean, it looks pretty cut and dry that, they murdered her in her sleep. So what would you do, if anything? Do you think there would be something you would do to intervene to speed up the justice process?
The federal government can do. You can stop police organizations from policing themselves, first off. Like I know in Milwaukee, one of the criticisms of the commission that was formed after the murder of Dontre Hamilton was to, provide oversight of the police, but these were former cops. I mean, you're talking about the Fox Guard and the hen house. We're not accomplishing anything like that. So you need to bring in third parties that are unaffiliated with the police. And there's like a whole list of these things, and I don't have it in front of me, so let me find it so I'm not misquoting and making myself look crazy. But we have a whole plan behind this. And I want y'all to know what it is. And also, like, while I'm looking at it, our website is www.howiehawkins.us for the simple fact that the whole policy is there, but also policy documents around everything I'm talking about are also there. So you're not like depending on me stuttering through it. Yeah, but let me give y'all that platform as soon as I can find it.
And while she's looking, you guys, if you would please share this so everybody can get the information and know that we do have other options other than the Republicans and the Democrats, because as I say, and, you know, Donovan and Gary says, you know, me personally, I was looking to hold my vote until, you know, I can get something forward. And so here we have another option that's talking about a lot of the things that we, especially as Black people, need. So, you know, go ahead and share it so people could also join in on the conversation.
Right, and I just put in the link. If you're wondering what the Green Party's platform is, the link is there. It's www.gp.org/platform. Just go to there. They have a plan for everything. Everything is there. So just go check it out.
We really do. And I finally found it. And, you know, that may not be cute, but it's like, look, I ain't trying to put on airs. I have to find some of this stuff. But one of the things that we are looking at is the Constitution vests the federal government with some powers to influence local policing under the spending, commerce, territorial, and necessary proper clauses, as well as under the enforcement sections of the Civil War Amendments 13th, 14th, and 15th. So the federal government can invoke their powers under those amendments to help influence what happens in local policing. You know, the federal government isn't going to step in and be like, okay, this is what y'all aren't going to do. But they can also, federal data collection of police use of force incidents gives policymakers baselines for measuring the effectiveness of policies in reducing police conduct. Some ways that can be, because, you know, we're talking about the federal government, the FBI should continue the use of national use of force data collection program that began in 2020 to collect data on all incidents resulting in death, injury, and use of firearms by law enforcement. The Bureau of Justice Statistics, I can't talk tonight, Police Public Contact Survey, which collects data on citizens' interaction with police, including police use of force, should be strengthened from a voluntary survey to a comprehensive mandatory survey. So the police have to cooperate with it. And Department of Justice needs to be aggressive in bringing criminal enforcement cases directly against offending police officers under federal civil rights statutes. Department of Justice also should be aggressive in bringing civil liability cases against systemic abuse by law enforcement agencies, as well as the wrongdoing of individual officers. So rather, you know, there's things that the federal government can be doing that it is not choosing to do. And under our administration, we would invoke what is already within their scope to do, if that makes any sense. So you're not reinventing the wheel. And then central to our policing program and the call to defund the police is community control of police. And yeah.
Lady, you're trying to make me go green.
I'm not. I'm just telling you what we got. And it's bad I had to find it, but there it is.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. You know, I told you before we started. I'm that guy. You know, you're the Green Party. So is Howie and Angela gonna free the weed?
You already know that.
In the United States of America.
Oh, I mean, and it just makes so much sense. I mean, legal in our platform, and also the Green Party platform, is the legalization and decriminalization of marijuana for legal adult use, both medicinally and recreationally. For the simple fact that, and also included in our platform is the decriminalization of other drugs, with the model based on what's being done in Portugal, where substance use is not treated as a criminal offense because it's not. It's a health issue. And so if someone is acting out, they're having an episode due to substance use, they receive a ticket to show up in court. And then they are appointed people to provide them with wraparound services like counseling and things like that to get to the bottom of what's really going on. And so people think, that's coddling, but they've actually seen serious like substance use issues decline. When you treat people like, human beings, imagine that. They actually, respond to that. And with the legalization and decriminalization of marijuana in this country, we know that communities of color, our folks, Black and brown folks, are disproportionately affected by mass incarceration around that. And so one of the pieces of the legalization and decriminalization, decrim of marijuana is not only freeing people who are incarcerated on marijuana offenses, but also giving the communities that are most harmed, that have been most harmed by the war on drugs, priority in the legal grow industry as a finance, as something that is an economic engine.
Now, this may be a question for Howie, but I mean, you would be the VP.
Mm-hmm.
Say you got a guy that went to jail for 30, 40 years for having a gram a week, and you got that power to clear his record up. Trump clearing all his friends' records up. Well, would you do it for him? Would you help the brother get back on his feet?
I think that's in there. I mean, what I did was like an overview, but there is a whole policy paper on the website around the legalization and decriminalization of marijuana and why it's necessary. And I believe, if I'm not, because I'm not looking right at it, and let me find it, to expunge people's records so that, this is not something that is being held against them, but rather than tell y'all that and be wrong, although I know it's on there, I would rather be able to show it to you. So
I tell you what, think about that one, and you're trying to find it. And now I'm finna go get you some real votes. I'm gonna see if they'll turn green. Y'all gonna get rid of that student loan debt?
He has, yes, it's in here. Hold on.
Y'all out there that's going to school with all this debt, she finna answer a real question for y'all. So if my good friend over here say she gonna get rid of that student loan debt, I might have to put that red down. I might have to ride with that green because I got student loan debt right now.
What do I? Let me see.
Well, no, if you answer that question, that's a game changer right there. You're gonna see a whole bunch of people.
That's a monster there, man. That's a monster there, man.
Let me find
Student loan debt needs to be out the window. Other countries ain't even doing that, man.
No, and
we need to get rid of student loan debt.
And part of our platform is offering free education from pre-K through college for, free public education. Now, if people choose to go to like private schools, they'll be available, but I think student debt won't be the lion's share of your budget. But let me find that. But yeah, lifelong free public education, pre-K through college. And
Demetri, you need to be on Amazon right now and finding this lady a super lady cake, please. I know all you politicians out there, you watching and you listening. Y'all got some work to do between now and November.
See,
man.
See. Now, here's the thing. This is the stuff people who are brainwashed think they have no options, and just about everything that she has talked about is an ail going on in the community that they say that they're going to do, and the other two parties say we ain't doing a damn thing. But you're going to give us that vote.
Yeah, it's in here. I mean, I'm like under duress trying to find it, but he has a policy paper on making sure that student debt, I mean, if you go to a public school, you're not going to incur student debt. And for people who have it, it is, I think there's like because I don't have it in front of me, a way that you pay that back up until a certain amount of years, and then that's a wrap.
All right on.
So
It's in the website.
It firsthand, they gonna free the weed. All of y'all in the hood with the weed issues. Angela and Howie is gonna free the weed. I'm good for now. She gonna free the weed.
Well, yeah, because I believe Biden says that he doesn't want to do that. He's against that. He doesn't want to do a damn thing. He's status quo. But let me get to this question for you real quick, Angela. It says, what is your stance on term limits in Congress, and how would you get that legislation passed if it's agreed with? We need term limits in Congress. Do you agree with that?
Yes, and we also need term limits in the Supreme Court. You have to have people who are able to make decisions that are reflective of the times. And you shouldn't have, justices who, are ailing or, they need term limits. I'm just gonna say that. And so, yes, we agree with imposing term limits.
Clarence Thomas need a term limit for sure, because we don't know if he coherent or not. He never says anything.
I was being my most diplomatic. I just said they need term limits. I didn't specify.
I'm from the hood. We just run our mouth some days.
So am I, but my mama would hit me if I said half of what I want to say right now, back in the day. So my grandma will talk about me. So, yes, we support term limits, and we think that it's important that, the folks that are serving the people are reflective of the times that people are moving in. And getting that passed, well, that's the question we have about most of our policies. Because people say, okay, yeah, you get elected, then how are you going to get them to work with you? And all I can say is being transparent, being diplomatic, and also reminding them that if we are elected, it is because the people of this country chose us. And reminding the folks who are currently serving in office, you better get on your toes, because you didn't see us coming. And if you want to keep your place, you need to get with the program, and I mean that literally. So, I mean, it's not that hard if you are elected to do the will of the people, to do the will of the people. And we have allowed politicians to take office, and we step back and expect them to do whatever. Y'all do you. We elected you, and that's the end of it. And that's not the end of it. It is our job to hold our electeds accountable. When they are not answering to us, this is what we get. Y'all want Medicare for all, but it's not on the table. How dare you? When 84% of the people in this country ask for this policy. Something as low-hanging fruit as marijuana legalization, because it's legal in so many states. How dare you say that this is not even something you're going to consider? Who are you to do that? You are not doing the will of the people, and therefore they don't owe you a vote.
Well, keeping along with the question of term limits, and you brought up Supreme Court justices. We've heard that thrown around a lot. Oh, well, we need Joe Biden to get in there so he can pick a Supreme Court justice, a black woman Supreme Court justice, because Trump is stacking the courts with, his type of candidates or justices, if you will. So what kind of Supreme Court justice would the Green Party put in there? And how important at this point is it to have a black woman? Because I say this before you answer the question. A lot of people are saying, well, Joe Biden he's going to pick a black woman Supreme Court justice. I'm like, well, he picked Clarence Thomas, if you really think about it. So what makes you think he's going to do right this time? So what are your thoughts on that?
I wasn't going to say it. I'm trying to be good. You're exactly right. And I think that, since, this, I'm going to assume that this, because I'm not looking at the chat, but I'm going to assume that your audience is primarily us. All our skin folk ain't our kin folks. Look at the policies. There is no guarantee that Joe Biden is going to appoint a black woman that reflects the views of the people in the way that you think that they will. Clarence Thomas is a perfect example. And also when you have, at the same time that you have a call throughout the country around police violence, you don't pick someone to be your VP that embodies that system. That did not, I didn't understand that. But hey, I don't have to. But the thing is, we A, have no guarantees that he's going to do that, and B, we have no guarantees that he's going to pick someone that represents the interests of our communities. You know, this is an individual that speaks about Black people as if we are a monolith. And anybody who's Black knows there are as many ways to be Black as there are Black people. And for him to, and this is not just one, he has a history of making these statements about Black people. This is not recent. This cat been doing this for decades. And he got a pass because he rode Obama's coattails and, you know, was his wingman basically. And now all of a sudden you feel like you can come on radio shows and you can come on, you know, be interviewed and get real glib with your mouth about our people. You don't know us like that, quite frankly. And I'd be very happy to tell him that to his face. And so I think that we need to stop assuming that these folks are going to do what we want them to do. If it is not in his platform going forward, what incentive, once he is elected, what incentive does he have to do your will once you've given him your vote?
I tell you what, there was a rumor going around that Kamala was the first African American female VP. I know she wasn't the first. I kind of figured out who was the second. What's your ideologies on? I mean, the media, Black America wants to believe that she was the first, and this is not true.
It's not.
Explain this to these people so they can get it, because I know you were the second.
Actually, I'm not. I'm at the bottom of the pile, to be honest with you. There is a long list starting back in like the 40s, the 50s of Black women being nominated as vice president of the United States. You know, Charlotta Bass being one of them, Angela Davis being another one. When you're talking about president, you're talking about Shirley Chisholm, you know, Rosa Clemente for VP, Cynthia McKinney for VP. Come on, y'all. I mean, the thing that they left out, which is just a shining example, I think, of the way that third parties and fourth parties are erased in this country. And we are. We are not even considered for the debate stage. We are, you know, pushed out of the media. Our campaign has gotten more media in Latin America, India, Europe than we have in the United States. That is not by accident. And, you know, the fact that the Democrats can put this out and say, oh, this is, you know, I'm not denying, you know, Senator Harris her fanfare. You were chosen. You should, you know, you deserve whatever accolades are coming your way. But the party was irresponsible because you are not the first Black woman to be nominated as vice president, you know, of the United States. There's a long history on the left of we've been doing this. We've been nominating Black women. We've been nominating Latinx and Indigenous women. This is what we do. And if I really wanted to be petty, I was the Green Party's VP nominee before she was chosen by the Democrats. If I want to be petty, I can say that.
I'm gonna be petty. You were.
I was.
I know she don't like me no more. You know, she don't know me, but she don't like me. So my thing, this is a big issue in America, crime. Where we see it at today, you being a grassroots organizer. You know, how would the Green Party, Howie and you deal with the crime that seems to be has overtaken what I call democratically controlled cities as well as states? How would you two good people attack that?
Talking about crime, I ran in 2014 against Sheriff David Clark in Milwaukee County, and if people are aware of who that individual was, he eventually became a pundit for Fox News, black fella in a cowboy hat that don't like black people. That guy. I ran against him as a broke, unknown socialist, independent socialist in 2014. Our campaign pulled 20% of the vote in that election. So, it was not so much that people knew me, it was a referendum against him, which was interesting. It was shocked the crap out of me. But I say that to say that when we are talking about crime, and what my platform was then, is that if you are interested in fighting crime, then let's start by fighting poverty, because poverty is a crime against humanity. And let's talk about making sure that communities, the most marginalized communities, have access to the things that they need to simply live. Housing is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. Access to a good education is a human right, where you are not paying, out the nose for these things. Those are human rights. And in Milwaukee County, we've watched the erosion of our public schools, the privatization of our public schools, the attempted privatization of our transit system twice. I used to be the legislative director for our transit union. And so fighting for public transit access is one of my things. Watching inner city hospitals close and lack of access, ability for people to get to, the medical care that they needed. And we have in Milwaukee a lot of issues of food deserts where, there's not, there's a lack of fresh foods available. We've been working on that over the years. So I think that, by now things have improved in some areas. But if you want to talk about tackling crime, let's talk about poverty. And if you are not pushing policies like decriminalizing and legalizing marijuana, if you are not talking about treating substance use as a medical issue and not a criminal issue, if you are not eliminating conditions that lead people to commit crimes of crimes of desperation, then we're not talking about anything. You're not interested in fighting crime if you're okay with people being desperately poor. It's not acceptable, and it is not inevitable.
Donovan? Demetri?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you this question real quick. I got to go back up here. It says, I noticed the Democratic Party got the Green Party off the general election ballot in Rhode Island and Montana. Can you please tell us how many states the Green Party in the general election are on, and any Green Party states at risk of corrupt DNC getting states to kick the Green Party off? So how many states are you guys actually on the ticket?
And I need to pull up ballot access. I want to say we are on I think it was about 30 states. Wisconsin, my home state, pulled us off the ballot. We are fighting them in court. There's an attempt in Texas to pull us off of the ballot. And also in Pennsylvania, where we're also fighting that. And yeah, I mean, it's very real, talking about the fact that voter suppression, party suppression is voter suppression. If people are indicating they want third parties and fourth parties, like the libertarians, they are viable. And if people are indicating that they want these folks, they at least want a choice, I think that it's super ironic that these challenges to us being on the ballot are coming from the Democratic Party, and they are. And so I think we've got write-in status in, I want to say 3 states. We're not done with our petitioning either. There's states that we are still on the ground petitioning in. So during a pandemic. So, but this is a very clear case of party suppression, which is voter suppression, where they are pushing us off the ballot because certain states like Wisconsin and Pennsylvania are battleground states, and they don't want the competition. And we, since Medicare for All, the gutted, diluted version they were offering people, and they've even pulled that off the table, we're the only ones talking about the full strength Green New Deal because it's ours to begin with. The Democrats didn't come up with that, honey. That's ours. We're the only one offering people, and they see that as a threat. And here we are.
So, in your opinion, is Kanye and the birthday party serious, or is he trying to take votes away in order to help Trump?
I really can't speak to that. I don't know what his intent is. I don't know enough about. I haven't, to be honest, I haven't concerned myself with looking up what's happening with him or anything like that.
Don't feel bad. None of us really know. We just heard that he's with the birthday party.
This is the first time I've heard like there's a birthday party. I had no idea.
That's the name of it. But I have a fun question for you while we're getting ready to get out of here. So we've, maybe I'm the only one that's seen it. There's this argument over the Rose Garden. Michelle Obama had it this way, and Melania had it that way. What does a Green Party Rose Garden
completely
look like?
Sustainable, completely eco-friendly, probably public. Come on in here. Ain't nobody charging for this. But yeah, absolutely eco-friendly. I mean, and one of the things that I like people to know is that these are not just policies that I support. This is my life. I mean, and it's my own choice. I don't eat animals. I don't eat them. That's my choice. I practice holistic, which is something that comes under our Medicare for All plan as well. And I get asked that particularly from Black and Latinx people about respecting indigenous medicines and the fact that we have a history with plant medicines and how we treat ourselves in holistic ways, and making sure that gets respected along with more westernized versions of medicine. Absolutely. This is something I myself practice. And so, yeah, the Rose Garden would be gorgeous. It'd be popping, and it would be eco-friendly.
Final thoughts, Mr. Donovan.
I just want to say thank you so much. It has been so enlightening having you on this show, because we've been telling people for months and years, you do have a choice, and there are other parties out there. A true democracy doesn't just have two parties. That sounds more like a communist country that does that, in the proletariat. But we wish you luck. I'm sharing this on a lot of my platforms, and I really do think the Green Party is a viable option for Black people out there that are just tired of the BS and the bull crap that is not being delivered, number one, by the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, which together means the ruling party.
Final thoughts, Ms. Demetri.
Well, I would just say what Donovan said, thank you so much for coming on our platform. I know you're very busy out there getting the word out. And I'm so happy because, I'm on the path of holding the vote, but it gives me hope to listen to the Green Party's platform, because, you don't want to sit out completely, but I'm ready to do that unless I can vote for somebody who is going to offer me something. So I'm definitely looking at the Green Party. And also, as a couple people here want to know, where can we get apparel? Is there a place where we can purchase Green Party 2020 shirts?
It's on the website. Everything is on www.howiehawkins.us. And things have gotten slowed up because of the mail, but I think that orders are orders are getting out the way that they need to now. So yeah, merch, but also I really encourage people to take, there's a policies and perspectives. Those are like Howie has put whole policy papers on these, platforms, like, the pieces of the platform. So you're not just reading Medicare for all, but there's also a policy paper around how we pay for it. There is a budget for the eco-socialist Green New Deal, and the budget's there. All of those things are completely available on the website. And for anyone that has questions, just hit us up on the website, or like, I do my own Twitter stuff. So like, if you're on social media, just everything is Angela M. Walker. And like, if you got a question, slide in my DMs.
One, I want to thank you for coming on the show, and giving these good people another option. You guys are definitely a great option. And for those that just feel like, if I vote for him, that's not going to help us get rid of Trump, say, man, your vote, your choice, but now you have more choices. You can't say that you don't have a viable choice. Now, I will send word out, because, I got the hood watching me all around the country. All of y'all in the hood, they gonna free the weed. You ain't finna be going to jail behind those Swiss sweets no more, man. Y'all need to get to the polls, man, with your pants sagging, with your elbows poking out on your cutlass. And you need to go to the polls, man. They gonna free the weed. They gonna free the weed, man. They got a whole bunch of other good stuff, but y'all that got them issues, they gonna free the weed.
Like, I had an interview very recently with that centered on drug policy, and I told them, I said, the only reason I don't smoke is because I can't. I get dropped at work, but if I could, I would. So people need to understand that this is personal.
So it was a thought-provoking conversation. You guys now, especially African Americans that were complaining, you have a great African American choice. You have a great party that, honestly, I've not seen it being done this year. They have a plan on everything that you can bring up. They not running, they not ducking. They can answer any question that you have. Now ask yourself, have the other two parties done that? I don't think so. So now you got another option. Say, man, I want to thank y'all for tuning in tonight, and you need to share this video. Put it out there. Make them mad. Make them mad. Make my co-host, my man Donovan Sadiq, the Queen Demetra K, and Black Girl Magic was in the building tonight. Vice President nominee Angela Walker. You now have a viable choice in this matter. But Wednesday we gonna mess you up more, because the presidential African American choice, Jade Simmons, is coming sit in the hot seat. But tomorrow we gonna be on you. You know how it is. Until then, we'll holler at you. I'm the 5-star general, and this the war zone.